One of the fruits I always look forward to in the fall are pears. They are so delicious and really, I think they get a bad rap. They don't get used a lot in desserts and so many people just kind of don't really think about them. I don't know if it's because it's right after delicious peach season and we are just still on the high from peaches that we don't think about the pears, but let me tell you something. It is time pears are front and center in your kitchen because they are so delicious. And one thing I love to do with them in the fall, just to showcase their really natural flavor, is simply poach them. And I know that sounds possibly a little pretentious, or a little boring, or a little seriously, but let me tell you something. Poached pears, while yes they are simple, can be such a delicious dessert. And if you're having a hearty soup or stew or a roast, they are such a wonderful light way to end a meal and really are the essence of this amazing fall fruit. To start, you just want to have some fairly ripe pears. Now, since we're poaching them, they don't need to be extremely ripe and you don't want them like so soft to the touch that they almost fall apart. I love to use red Anjou pears, but you really could use any pear for this. And I think it is absolutely beautiful just to leave these with their skin on because the color is so pretty. So just cut them in half and then using a melon baller, just take out the seeds. I know this seems kind of odd, and yes, you could totally just use a knife and make a V and cut out the seeds, but a melon baller just makes it really clean and simple. I like to leave the stem at the top on one of the halves because it really gives a beautiful presentation. While that is not completely important, let's admit, the first thing we do when we eat something is eat with our eyes. And if it looks beautiful, we are so much more excited to have it. So leaving that stem on just gives an absolute gorgeous presentation. Using the small side of the melon baller, you can also take out the end stem or the bottom side of the pear. This just gets out any kind of grossness that you may eat and may be kind of hard. Once your pears are halved and ready to go, you can just melt some butter in a large skillet over the stove. I like to make sure my skillet is fairly hot before I put my butter in, so right when it hits that pan, it sizzles and melts quickly. Having the really hot butter ensures that when you lay your pears on the cut side down of the skillet, they're gonna brown up. I love to get a little bit of color on my pears before I pour in the poaching liquid. This helps caramelize them slightly and just kind of deepens the flavor a little bit, and it really does look beautiful too. Once your pears have browned slightly, you can just check them by lifting up with the tongs. You can add in your liquid. I love to use a sweet rosé wine for this. Any sweet wine would work, but I think rosé really lends well with all the other flavors. If you don't want to use a wine in this can also be made with a pear juice. Just make sure that you buy a complete 100% pear juice so there's not any off flavors in it and it's not really a mixture of all other juices. That will help the clean pear flavor come through. After you add your rosé, you can just add some brown sugar. This isn't only going to help sweeten it, but it's also going to help thicken the sauce later on. Next, you just want to add your spices. It's a few cinnamon sticks, a few whole cloves, and a few cardamom pods. If you're not used to cardamom pods, they have such an amazing flavor. And the pods have little seeds in them that actually carry the flavor, kind of like ground cardamom, but the pods help you not have too much intense flavor and really be able to control how much of the cardamom is in there. Just crush the cardamom pods with like the end of a knife, just so it releases and is able to have the juice get into the seeds that will actually really flavor it. And then you just want to halve and scrape the seeds of one vanilla bean. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I love to use a vanilla bean. It really has an intense vanilla flavor, and those seeds are going to be in that sauce at the end, and you're going to see them, and there's really nothing like it. If you don't want to use a vanilla bean, you can of course use vanilla extract too. To finish this off, you just want to make sure the poaching liquid covers the pears. So you can add a little bit of water at the end just to make sure it comes to just the top of the pears. If there's a little bit of the pear showing, that's completely okay, but you want it mostly covered with poaching liquid. Once all the liquid and spices are in there, you just want to bring it up to a boil and then lower it to a simmer and cover it. Now all you need to do is let it simmer until the pears are cooked through. You don't need them so soft that they literally fall apart, but you just want to test them towards the end by picking them up with the tongs or a spatula and piercing them with a sharp knife. If the knife does not meet resistance, you know they're perfect to eat. If you want, you can make this dessert a day before, and at this point when the pears are ready, you can just remove it from the heat, let it cool down to room temperature, and then cover it and stick it right in your fridge with the poaching liquid and everything. If you want to keep them like that, it's best to keep them submerged in the poaching liquid so they don't brown. If you want to serve them right away, remove the pears from the poaching liquid and set them aside. Then turn your poaching liquid back onto high and let it boil until it reduces down. This is really going to intensify the flavor of the poaching liquid and give it a little bit of a thickened sauce. Now, this isn't going to become completely thick like a really heavy sauce, but just lightly thickened, and it is amazing the flavor you're going to achieve. Once you've reduced your poaching liquid, you can remove it from the heat and then strain it right into a measuring cup or a beautiful glass decanter. As you can see, this really is so simple. I love to serve 2 pear halves if you want a little bit more of a dessert, or you can just do 1 if you need something lighter. They look gorgeous to stand them up or just lay them over in a bowl. I think it's best to kind of offset all the sweetness with a little bit of creme fraiche or a good Greek yogurt. Pour a little bit of the sauce over the yogurt and the pears, and you have an amazing dessert. This is something that not a lot of people are going to be used to, so you are going to be the star of the show with this dessert. Even though it's so simple, the flavors of fall really shine through, and I know you're going to love it. If you agree and like this video, make sure to click like below and click subscribe to become part of the Gray Boxwood channel on YouTube. I love to hear from you guys, so make sure to leave me a comment, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.